liquidity, where you find out how not to be fucking exit liquidity.
All right, back again. Episode 6 of Exit Liquidity. Feels like we've done way more than 6, but we're at 6.
6 is a lot. It's like a month and a half, right?
Yeah, when you think about it on a weekly basis, but a lot of... Because I was just looking at the Bankless podcast, and they're only at 100 and something. And they're doing pretty crazy stuff, so it's a long...
It's 2 years. Yeah, I guess they don't... Do they do it weekly? How often do they do it? Because they've definitely been around longer than 2 years.
They have a weekly roll-up thing. That's what I was listening to.
Oh. Okay.
But yeah, so yeah. I want to do a new thing where we actually look back at the narratives that we talk about. Because I feel like we sometimes overlook the things we mentioned. Don't realize that we're missing on like 20% over 7 days. 17%. If we actually pull the trigger on some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Giving the people... the alpha, I guess. So I'm going to browse here a bit on CoinGecko just to highlight. We talked a little bit about, you did say that Mina was shitty. So minus 12% on the week. Loop Ring wasn't a great call. But I mean, there was some, people have been talking about some really like small stuff in this space, but overall it's not.
I was just looking at Panther this morning, actually.
Really?
But there was like I couldn't find liquidity for it. A tweet that I saw. I don't even remember from who, but
I saw a bit about this one, Alpha Zero.
A0.
During this week.
Next Gen invested in A0, so got to look at them a good bit. You know what's funny is I looked at Panther Protocol specifically just because the ticker was ZKP. Which is, I don't know, that's like very intuitive, I think. ZKP, ZK proof. So I was thinking that in and of itself, like as long as they don't have a dog shit product, like that's enough to induce a pump during a ZK narrative, or at least to outperform, I think, most of the other ZK stuff.
Yeah, I think another thing I wanted to mention was we were talking a bit about the idea of how these ZK projects, Matic and ZK Sync, are going to start basically talking shit to each other again about who's first doing what. And I've seen a lot of that. I don't know if you saw, but I've seen an NFTfi we talked about last week. Decent. Damn, this shit sucks minimize. Hold on.
What the fuck?
This a bit. I have 2 windows open, so it's just weird. But yeah, NFTfi getting some love. Everyone's waiting for a lot of the perps and other parts of NFTfi to do something. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think that one's gonna take some time still. I don't know, it seems like the rotation went away from NFTs for a little bit, at least from like lower cap stuff. Like the obvious stuff has been doing okay, or actually pretty well ever since the Blur airdrop, like really well. It's just the stuff that I'm looking at hasn't been doing too much.
Yeah, I didn't know CoinGecko had this.
It's pretty cool. I don't know how deep this goes though. Like what they what is Renga at? Oh, this is 24-hour trading volume. I was gonna say Renga was in the top 20.
I think these 2 narratives are good ones. I feel like
ZK
the NFTfi one's a little bit degenerate, and the ZK one has more substance and like technology behind it. But I really like these 2, honestly. And speaking of narratives, we can get into this. I saw this somewhere on Twitter. So you gave your... I still don't know what my answer is for... So I asked Ali over private messages what top 5 profitable trades, like rank these narratives in like a top 5 on a year, maybe 18-month timeline. And the reason I was shocked by this is how low NFTfi is on this. Especially right after the Blur airdrop, it doesn't feel justified. I don't know how this is ranked. Maybe this was just listed out. I didn't really read the tweet. But
it's weird to rank in terms of profitability though, because you can't really equate some of these. Like you can't compare restaking protocols to NFTfi or to
I feel like it
real
just
world
comes down
assets.
to how soon you think these narratives are going to have tokens to speculate on. And then the profitability just comes from that, really. And I think when you talk narratives, it's like, what can people like FOMO into? Like, what story are people going to believe the most?
I don't know, the hardest question is always just like when, because it's hard to tell like what kicks off narratives. In some cases, it's been like pretty obvious, like with the AI stuff, it followed after there was like
Yeah.
an AI boom and like with ChatGPT and Stable Diffusion, all that stuff led up to that. But I don't know, the ZK narrative, I don't know if I wouldn't say it's fully taken off yet, at least not to the extent that AI did. But it just feels like people just decided that there was going to be a ZK narrative. Like it doesn't really seem like there's any reason
No, I feel
for
like
it to
it's
be
like
now.
it's an inevitable like step in the technology.
Definitely,
I feel like
but why now? Like why now?
because
are
they're
people talking
launching,
about it?
they're going to launch all the test nets. These things is 6 weeks out. They both
They've been
have
launching test nets all
mainnet.
year.
No, but they've had these announcements that have been weirdly worded by marketing teams that make it sound like they're way ahead of where they actually are. But if you actually like listen to what they're saying and understand where they're at and what their roadmap is gonna, damn, if I just said roadmap, what their roadmap is gonna look like, it makes sense that like a marketing team would just go a little too far with how they're wording things. And with the part of the roadmap that both of these, like Matic or Polygon Hermes and ZK Sync at least, are the two that I know the most about in terms of the roadmap. But they're on basically the same pages where they're like launching these. They're on mainnet, but they're only on mainnet for developers. And so from that point, they're saying 6 to 8 weeks for mainnet for everybody. And they had, or at least ZK Sync had V1 and V2 test nets that we probably should have participated in, because that's definitely those people are definitely getting token airdrops. And I think it comes within a year. But there's also the whole thing with something like Arbitrum, where they're booming and it seems like they're never going to drop their token. And so maybe it's a lot farther out than I anticipate. But I feel like because they have to compete with these L2s and because it's like such a harder technology and a lot riskier, they're going to have to incentivize people more to get off the optimistic rollups and to take the chance on a ZK rollup.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. The problem is it's hard to say that kind of stuff is going to be there in that period of time. Like
In a year?
First of all, dates always get pushed in crypto, like without fail. Second of all, like ZK is definitely not there yet, just in terms of performance. Yeah, there's been some successes, but it's nowhere near like usable on the scale that like optimistic rollups are. And even optimistic
do you
rollups
think
are like fallible.
But I think the thing is it doesn't have to be, because we have L1 and we have the optimistic rollups. It doesn't have to be able to handle every single transaction right away. You just have to slowly incentivize those people to use these things. And then if something that only works on a ZK rollup actually gains traction, then it's the same thing as GMX on our.
I don't think it's. How do you think they're going to slowly incentivize activity? Like all of these are hyped up enough to the point where once mainnet launches, everyone's going to go and try it out. Look at what happened with Aptos. I don't know what they're doing now, but we talked about that maybe a couple weeks ago. Like they launched and their launch was it went terribly. They were not performant whatsoever. So
Yeah, but I feel like that's just another L1. I feel like everyone knew that thesis. Like there's more love from the Ethereum L1 community that comes with L2s and like scaling Ethereum, where people.
So then shouldn't they see more activity when they launch?
Who? ZK Sync? Or Aptos?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to
ZK
see. I think ZK EVMs are going to see a lot of activity when they launch, but I don't
Right.
think it's all going to work.
So then what makes the narrative like a good bet now versus, I don't know, who's to say that this stuff's going to be ready and usable in a year? I don't know. My general point is that none of this really matters. Like people can just decide when narratives take off. I think. Like, it has nothing to do with that in
But, like,
itself
what-
can be a catalyst, but it has nothing to
that's
do
like
with
saying
the
was
actual
the-
narrative takes off.
But that's like saying why did we need L2s in like optimistic rollups? Like, why does it matter for optimistic rollups?
What do you mean?
Like, you're saying that ZK EVMs don't necessarily like matter in terms of being able to profit on that.
I'm saying that all this like chatter, like news, like whatever launching in 6 to 8 weeks, this stuff being ready in a year. I'm saying it like it's all like individual data points as to whether or not like the trade is going to be profitable, but it doesn't really matter. Arbitrum could come out tomorrow and say they're launching their token in a month and they're going to snapshot in 2 weeks or whatever. And that's going to kick off a little mini Arbitrum eventually into like L2 season. They could never launch the token. It's just, I don't know. It's weird. It's like, we're very like hive-mindy at this stage. And because, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just believe it. I just don't believe
Sound like
it.
a bear.
You know? Like,
I get what you mean, but I don't know. I feel like you're underestimating the ZK EVM narrative. It's not like something like Starcore,
Sure,
a
yeah,
whole
no.
different language.
it's going to be huge.
Play out a lot sooner than you'd expect. Let's just say the hype for something like the token of ZK Sync doesn't happen, right? Let's say they do the Arbitrum route where they never drop a token. If you were a part of the Arbitrum ecosystem early on, you would have hit on so many different things. Whether it was GMX, people were making... I've seen like someone on TikTok that I follow literally has bought GMX like as soon as they went from Binance to Arbitrum because they were paying attention to that ecosystem. And yeah, that might be like one in literally 1,000 different projects, but you would have hit on 90% of things just because of the L2 narrative existing. It was like 50-50. You either picked Arbitrum or Optimism.
I agree with you. I'm just saying that what decides whether or not a narrative kicks off and when it does seems totally arbitrary to me. Like, it doesn't matter when shit's launching. Like, I don't know. I could go and write something about ZK.
As in, like, who's launching first?
No, I'm saying, like,
Or
the whole
whether they
trade,
launch at
the
all.
narrative itself. Like, launching doesn't matter. I'm talking about the trade. Because the question you asked me was with regards to what's going to be the most profitable narrative.
Within
to,
a
like,
year.
play, or within a year, yeah. And my point being that, like, it's, like, because of all these different factors, launch dates, Twitter, like, influencers, whatever, I'm saying that it's totally arbitrary what goes into deciding when a narrative takes off. Like, it has nothing to do with, it doesn't have everything to do with actual like product shipping. So it's like it's more than just talking about ZK EVMs almost being ready to launch, or I don't know, or having a bunch of cool DeFi stuff going on now. Like, it's all just chatter. It's all just different levels of like chatter, and it's
You don't think you don't think that segmentation of things directly correlates to profitability in that narrative? You don't think that chatter, those threads, those marketing campaigns?
It totally does. It totally does. But
And so I'm saying
the thing
a
is
lot of
there's-
the ones on this list don't have what that narrative has. Because it starts at technology, and new technology is easy to hype, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
What do you
definitely
put? What do you
true.
put over? What do you put over ZK EVM then? Do you put on this list?
I don't know. Modular, just because there's already a head start there, and because it's also not
You think
entirely like
modular-
they fall into the same. If we're being honest, they're like
They fall
ZK
into
is
the
a
same
part of
category.
Modular.
Yeah.
Modular's too broad of a term to be comparing with all that stuff.
Modular blockchains. Do you have a one sentence or an example for me? All I can think of is fuel. No?
It's
Basically
just- It's just separating the different core functions of a blockchain into different like layers. So, sure, fuel being one, having a separate execution environment, Celestia.
See, to
Having
me,
like
that
a data
seems
availability
farther
layer.
out than ZK.
ETH 2.0. It's modular blockchain or modular implementation.
Do you have a few plays for the people that want to
For modular, Arbitrum.
in a modular?
I would call Arbitrum under that category. I would call ZK under that category too. But if you want to be more like about it, Eigenlayer falls into that category too in some way, shape, or form.
That's what I was gonna say,
weird,
but then I'm like restaking protocol. That is a broad.
I mean,
that is
it's like a
way too
middleware
broad of a
layer
narrative.
essentially. Yeah.
It's way too broad.
I don't know. I guess the stuff that would really only fall under that would be like data availability shit. So like Celestia. Shit, what was the other one? It's a different Celestia competitor. They have a red logo. I totally forgot what they're called. I don't know. I don't like that one, honestly. I'm not a fan either. Idea and the narrative. It's just not a good differentiating like term.
Account abstraction.
Account abstraction. That's an interesting one for sure.
See, I feel like this is one of those ones where you cannot make money off of this for a long time.
I think
unless you're like VC.
Unless you're VC or building. It's much
unless
easier that way.
Or stuff that
it's much. I think the way I see it is that like all these wallets that come out, all these like account abstraction wallets, like there's basically two ways the narrative plays out in my mind. It's like either MetaMask implements smart contract wallet support and has all the features or all of the like necessary features that account abstraction offers, and nothing changes for us. There's no opportunity for us that exists, or some other wallet comes and captures that market share. In which case, there's going to be a period where what's happening now with Blur and OpenSea, where like a clear competitor arises. Either one or multiple clear competitor arise. In that scenario, I think that those guys have to be incentivizing. Like they can't. MetaMask is too much of a titan to get users to come over solely based off of functionality and experience, unless it's worlds better, which it's not going to be. They have to incentivize that.
I feel like it's also a security thing too. Like you just know MetaMask is going to work 90% of the time because 90% of the people use it, and have probably done something that you're looking to do already with MetaMask.
Yeah.
And it's like, if it wouldn't have worked with MetaMask, or if there was a security flaw with the way it works, you would already know. Like, for instance, like something like, why don't we use Argent? Why don't we use Rainbow, TallyHub, OXFrame? Like, I heard about the other wallets, but it's that if something goes wrong with any of those places, I'm going to have to go into a fucking Discord and try and find somebody who can help me figure something out about it, and then it's going to be like constant phishing DMs or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there will be a way to play it, but I think that it's going to be tough to see that play out cleanly, just because like people aren't. I guess account abstraction isn't that big of a narrative, or like that well known of a thing especially among like degens.
Yeah.
Which works in our favor, I guess, because if something like that does happen, where wallets start incentivizing activity, like it can be on top of that and.
That'd be cool to
catch
see.
Catch some incentives before.
Incentivize wallet activity. I like that. Like, you could see that running as like a...
Dude, are there any wallets that have
You could
tokens?
see so many threads. I don't think so. Not that I know.
Yeah, so then it's weird. I don't know how they would do that.
I feel like they're all banking on like having a way better UI. And I feel like people like us don't care about UIs to a certain extent.
I don't know about UI. But it's more so. I would say so. UI is not. The UI for MetaMask sucks compared to other wallets, but it's not a deal breaker. It's not terrible.
Do you think the UX is?
Yeah. I mean, it's getting better. They're trying to implement stuff. They just implemented like the token. Like when you grant access to a certain contract for your tokens, they're now allowing you to like dictate exactly how many. Or like they try and warn you a little bit more when giving access to all of them, something like that. So it's getting better, but you still can't batch transactions. Seed phrases are still a pain to deal with. I think as time goes on, people are going to realize how fucking shitty seed phrases are. Because nobody wants to, once you've had your wallet for like years and you need somewhere to store that thing, there's not a lot that's going to last years in like a secure place that isn't, I don't know, besides like metal plates or some shit like that, which is just overkill.
Yeah.
So
Does Ledger not have a browser extension wallet?
I don't think so. I just use it with MetaMask. I hate the Ledger app, honestly.
I don't use the Ledger app. I
I've
remember
used
early
it.
on I tried to. It was so painful.
Yeah, I use it early
terrible.
on. This shit sucks.
I
It's
could see them being able to acquire some low-level Chrome extension browser, rebranding it, because you just get immediate security feelings with that Ledger brand. And then they probably have enough money off selling these things to fucking incentivize something. But they'll probably never drop a token, though. So based out of like France or something.
Ledger.
That's
I feel like
interesting.
Ledger's not like Ledger's solely used for the hardware. It seems. I don't know anyone who uses any of their software or anything else out. People actually don't really like. People don't talk about Ledger anymore. But I remember a while back, people would shit on Ledger all the time because they have some pretty shitty data privacy, like a pretty shitty data privacy policy, as far as I know. But it's not like
MetaMask.
I don't know. Yeah, that's true. And people, that's like also more recent, but that does. I do know some people that that's like a deal breaker for. So I don't know. I think on the whole, like
It's too far out.
it's too far out, but like the wallet conversation is like a fun one to have, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I feel like people will be very welcoming of it.
Yeah, because I mean, it's MetaMask's game to lose, but there's so much more we can do. We could be leaps and bounds further in terms of wallet infrastructure a couple years from now than where we're at right now, and that's exciting, I think.
Like you were saying with comparing it to Blur and OpenSea, I didn't realize how much of I guess it was obvious, but a narrative having the storyline of taking down like a villain in an ecosystem, like taking down the centralized villain and replacing it with the decentralized, way better thing. It's pretty powerful within.
A strong one, yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Luna.
powerful like part. Luna. What part was Luna?
Decentralized stables. Not taking anyone down per se, but offering an alternative that's actually decentralized.
No, they did have that. They did try and take down Die.
That was
targeting.
but that was a huge part of their narrative, I think. Like the main drivers of that entire just period was like savings account, 20% decentralized money, like sound decentralized money, and I guess the cult leader trait. But yeah, no, and then Blur is showing that too, I think. I'm surprised we didn't think to talk about that whole thing in this episode, the Blur OpenSea thing. No, it's like now, because I guess everything's happened over the past week. Yeah.
We'll get into it. I think we skip over multi-party computation. We're not.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't.
I hope the nerds enjoy being able to code in different languages on different things, but I feel like the obvious thing is that EVM is always gonna win right now. Blockchain interoperability. Layer 0.
Interesting one.
What else is there?
You think so?
What are we talking about? Again, that feels vague.
Layer 0.
I'm not
layer
getting
0
the specifics.
bridges. Not layer 0, but I guess to me,
just bridging.
To me, it's bridging, general messaging protocols, and then future solutions that might emerge. So, okay? I guess first of all,
the first one that comes to mind, it's not bridges.
No, yeah, I think that can be ruled out. I think there's like degrees of decentralization with bridges, but I think on the whole it's like a pretty flawed process. But despite that, I think there have been I think it's like almost as good as it can be at this point with things like Li-Fi or like Synapse or like even D-Bridge and Wormhole are like looking pretty good these days for what they are, at least. But I think they're approaching their limit for scalability, security, liquidity. The limit is just, it's in terms of that. General messaging stuff like Layer 0 is more exciting to me, definitely. I also think I saw a project.
Go
ahead.
Just the first way, the most direct way to, I guess, play blockchain interoperability would be in the form of a token.
Bridge tokens.
Stargate? Yeah.
Farming on Stargate, using Stargate in case there's a Layer 0 airdrop at any point, or any other Layer 0 applications.
Would you
I can't
put
think of any
like
others.
hop protocol there?
Yeah, Hop's a
Being able
bridge, right?
Yeah.
Is Hop a bridge or a
Yeah.
bridge aggregator? Or is Bungie's the bridge aggregator, I think.
Yeah, I think hop's the bridge, but they tackled the whole, because the problem with the optimistic rollups, that whole 7-day like waiting period that there used to be. Like they just give you the money on this L2 up front. But
There's a project called Beamer, which is bridging specifically for Layer 2, or interoperability specifically for Layer 2s, which I think is pretty interesting. It's a pretty, I know it's a more efficient experience, and it's pretty contained within EVM-based solutions, which makes it like, it makes there less of a need to be like one size fits all, as opposed to your bridges that have to have support for Polygon and Solana and Aptos and Gnosis or whatever the hell. It makes their market smaller so they can be more focused and have less problems to deal with, I think. And the way they do it is pretty cool. The problem is just it doesn't work that different. It works the same as bridging assets from like Arbitrum back to ETH, except without the 7-day waiting period. It's more there's a 7-day grace period where someone can like raise objections and create like an escalation to try and submit a fraudulent or identify a fraudulent transaction. And
yeah, I think
my point being that I think it's interesting to have different interoperability solutions for different like ecosystems, which might not be the best experience, but
yeah, I think the most exciting part about that, and the place I'd see the most, obviously LPs are probably going to be the ones who benefit the most from something like this, other than people that invest in like funds that invest in these bridges. But I think the most interesting part about that I would like to see play out is which has died out as a narrative a bit, but the whole like Cosmos to EVM aspect. I think that part of blockchain interoperability was going to be the highlight.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the limelight comes back there once Barachain starts to do something in public, at least. I think that's going to help a lot with that. And
Yeah.
Evmos, I think they've already lost their shot. Like they
Poor
lost.
guys. I didn't realize how they literally were just like Cantor just fucking forked the fuck out of them. They had some problems
they just
before
fucked
that.
up so bad.
They fucked up a lot
Their
of
ecosystem
shit, yeah.
building was terrible. They had no BD. Their tokenomics were terrible.
Yeah.
I still have my airdrop. My airdrop used to be like $1,200. Now it's $200. I don't know why the hell I staked it, but I do know why I staked it actually, because I was getting like 200% APR.
Yeah.
Damn, I have not opened my Kepler wallet in a while. Holy shit, I have a big Akash bag. What did I buy this at? My goodness.
And what else? Restaking protocols?
Restaking.
Do you put Lido there?
I think we can.
Do you put LSDs there?
No. Restaking. No, I wouldn't say restaking. I mean, there's no. It's just Eigenlayer, as far as I know. But it's more so. I guess you might be referring to like projects that would be building using Eigenlayer. So I guess it's just middleware via Eigenlayer, which is like a very narrow thing to have.
What is?
It's weird how you have
not done
that
any
and you
research
have
into this.
modular here. Eigenlayer?
Restaking protocols in general. I guess if it's just Eigenlayer.
I don't know any other
I've seen
restaking
so much,
protocols.
but I don't get the. From what I know, it's like you can stake different assets for different chains in some weird way. I think
it's just for Ethereum, first of all. But essentially the idea is you have to have middleware on Ethereum. You have to have like oracles. You have to have, I guess, like sequencers at some point, centralized sequencers, block proposers, stuff like that. Eigenlayer basically, and usually that stuff is either conducted off-chain, conducted through something like Chainlink, something like that creates additional overhead. Eigenlayer is basically additional overhead without the security that Ethereum provides. Eigenlayer is basically, you can stake either just like liquid ETH, you can stake ETH, like Lido staked ETH, or your own like personal staked ETH, and you can use that to essentially secure and provide consensus for a data availability application built using Eigenlayer or like an Oracle or something like that.
And so
It'd
you're
still
saying
be like
LSDs are going to be LSD protocols are going to be building on that?
Not LSD protocols, but like middleware specifically for Ethereum. Oracle, and like I'm guessing there's going to be something there with Chainlink. I'm guessing there's already something there with Chainlink being worked on. You can have, I think the only like things they have right now that are like openly being built is like EigenDA, which is their own like data availability service, like scaling service. The idea is essentially like they're leveraging the amount of staked Ethereum in the ecosystem so that users can earn more yield on their ETH, and like middleware products can be secured through Ethereum, through the security of Ethereum. It's a lot more complicated than that, honestly. I don't even like fully understand it
So
myself.
our direct token play is 2 years out, 3 years out? Or would there ever even? It sounds like there wouldn't even
there's a token.
be a reason.
They just raised. They raised. I can share this one too. This one's like well known, so I don't have to worry about
Yeah, share screen.
non-confidential. No, not sharing my screen. Just sharing like the information. They raised, I think, at a 500 million valuation, and
Really?
500 million valuation equity,
the-
and then 250 mil token. So the
But-
VC, at least in the most recent round, VCs got in at a 250 mil token valuation. So whenever they launch, you can use that as like a.
Holy shit!
And I know
What was
fucking,
this? Seed? Series
No,
A?
it's a Series A.
B?
Yeah, their
Series A.
seed was 50 mil, I think. Dougie's Fun was in their seed round, I think.
Interesting. I got to do more research on that. Where do you? So yeah,
It's
it's far
far out
out.
still, honestly. It's
Far
far
out.
out, but it's really exciting. It's really interesting. The people
Really?
building it are ridiculously smart. They're like their founding team is like really close with A16Z. I don't really know what the nature of their relationship is.
I don't get what
think
the problem
A16Z
is.
invested, but
I don't get the problem that's being solved. Maybe I'm just fucking brain dead, but
you
I'm
don't
still
get
not
what?
seeing it. The problem that is being solved, like the direct problem now that this solves,
In
like
my
some
mind, it's
back
just-
end like builder stuff.
It's it's not stuff that you would interact with. It's
Okay.
I guess the only thing that would affect you is you would have more yield opportunities.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. It
You'd have
just
more yield opportunities
basically
for
boosts.
for ETH.
Yeah, it boosts yield for like ETH staking derivative or ETH staking. Yeah, derivatives.
For LSDs, for staked ETH, for just liquid ETH.
Just boosts yield.
I mean,
basically.
take your pick, really. Yeah. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know to what extent, obviously, but
I like that.
that's really
Sprinkle
interesting.
little
basically.
incentives in there.
But it's far off. It's far off. Yeah.
Dude,
I
we
mean, I don't
should
know
do-
too much about their development, but it's new.
We should have put this on like a linear timeline chart too,
Oh yeah,
not
that
just
would
like
have
a
been.
ranking.
Yeah.
That would have been nice.
Yeah.
Decentralized social. You have interacted
fun
with
one,
this
too.
way more than I have. I'm
I
starting
haven't
to
that much actually.
want to, but so obviously Farcaster, Lens.
I haven't touched Farcaster in so long.
What else
I
is
liked
there?
it when I first had it. Farcaster, Lens.
There's like a
Gallery,
DeSo token, right?
Favor. I don't know. It's a good question. I'm actually just now opening up Farcaster for the first time, and it's just Dan Romero retweeting. It's just the founder retweeting shit or recasting stuff. Like I don't see tweets from anyone else.
I listen to his
Maybe I need to
podcast
update it.
pretty frequently. They have some Moment of Zen podcast. It's like a all-in derivative, basically, with some crypto guys.
I like the narrative for decentralized social a lot. I don't think that a lot of the ideas that social provides, a lot of the exciting ideas that social provides are there yet. But I think once we get there, it's going to be really exciting. And the need is like clear as well.
You know what I heard?
With
That's like a
all the problems people have
decent-
having with Twitter and TikTok recently.
Yeah, exactly. Where like even people like when people that are looking for political, they're interacting with politicians. That's like the number one seller for politicians. You don't want Twitter being able to block you, this and that. That's like the thing that takes some politicians over the edge for why this decentralized stuff has some, I guess, use case is the social aspect of it. I'm trying to find a decentralized social category. See what like. I'm not seeing anything. Yeah,
I can't really think of many. I guess You can have a lens handle. That's a way to get exposure.
Yeah.
Search lens. You might be able to just look at the lens. You can find them on OpenSea, but you might be able to find them on You probably can find them on CoinGecko too. Yeah, lens protocol profiles.
Oh wait, these cost money to make?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh shit, I had no idea.
Your video's been frozen for the past like 15 minutes. I don't know if that's just me.
I think it might just be you.
Okay.
We're a bit choppy, but we're good now. It might be because I'm sharing screen. But yeah, I like this narrative. I just don't see it going anywhere.
But it's far. I think it's far off.
Yeah, it's far off.
There's like an additional, like with all this stuff, it's like tech adoption.
Do you think it would have been closer if something like TikTok didn't happen? So if we were only left with Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, because I feel like TikTok took a lot of advantage of like an open market, and they grew. So maybe there would have been a better chance. Because I feel like before TikTok, people were sick of the old stuff. Instagram was alright. I wasn't really on Twitter. I guess it was alright. I don't know. Do you think it has to be a killer app, or people are just going to get on to decentralized stuff because they're out of fear, basically?
That's a really big question. That like when you get at that point, you're getting into the
mindset of a user.
You're getting into like data. You're getting into like data regulation kind of stuff, like what kind of privacy these protocols provide, like literally like cultural.
No, I think it's boiled down pretty equally. Either something has to explode in terms of usability, like something has to shit the bed so bad that people leave, or something has to be so good somewhere else that people gravitate towards it.
Maybe. But like, I don't know. TikTok's the first social media app to capture any significant market share since...
That's because it was so good.
Like Facebook, Twitter?
That was all algorithm.
Yeah. And kind of stuff... I think that kind of stuff is like not something that decentralized social would provide any better than a centralized alternative. If anything, it might even be harder. Like the draw of decentralized social is incentivized activity, incentivized creation, and then like sufficient decentralization.
I feel like that can't work.
Like censorship isn't a problem.
I feel like that's almost like GameFi, where it's like unsustainable. If you incentivize something like that, like it'll eventually.
We don't have GameFi on here. I just realized.
GameFi sucks.
GameFi is going to get there. It sucks right now, sure, but it's going to get there. There's no reason.
In terms of timeline,
GameFi.
Decentralized.
GameFi would come first, I think. GameFi is farther along because GameFi has tried and failed so many times already that they're closer to that end goal. I think. Like we've already seen blow-ups in GameFi. We've already seen. There's already so many fucking games out there, so people are iterating, and there's some pretty good-looking games out there. Honestly, like I'm not as bearish on GameFi as I was. Like, no, I don't. I honestly don't.
I feel like my GameFi, if I was to even think of
Webiverse, that's technically a game.
Yeah, but other than farming something and just immediately running, the only thing is probably treasure. Like Magic.
Yeah.
They have a shit ton of games on there that nobody plays.
I don't know about any. The only game I know about is Bridge World, and that's literally just. Actually, I didn't even like fully play it because I didn't have.
That's only because you go on OpenSea and then they're the top one on Arbitrum.
I was using Bridge World before I was trading NFTs.
Really?
Yeah. But that was just because I was into Arbitrum at the time.
On-chain.
I honestly want to skip 8 and 9. I want to skip that one and AI. Honestly.
Like both.
Actually, on-chain prediction.
I do like on-chain predictions though.
Yeah, I think it's feasible.
It's just the
Honestly,
gambling.
I think that could be one of the closer ones.
You can't like NFT perps and not like on-chain prediction markets.
Yeah, no.
Gambling is
honestly.
Gambling is going to be a huge thing.
Did I put that in my top 5?
You put that.
I think
2, 12, 5, 7, 10. No,
I didn't even mention it.
No.
I totally think that's one of the closer ones.
Online casinos basically fall under there, right?
Yeah.
The Rollbit is doing a lot. I've seen that on the timeline a bunch.
Yeah.
And apparently they're
Rollbit,
going cross-chain and doing some other shit.
I think that one's enough. All that needs to happen for that is a product that feels like it's Web 2. A product that feels like it's Web 2 where you can play all the online gambling shit that users already do. You can do sports betting in a decentralized way, and you can have a token with like fee reduction, something like that, reward distribution, whatever. Like house always wins, obviously, but you can take like 0.2% of that and distribute it to token stakers, something like that. It's not a difficult thing, I think, in my opinion. The challenge is making it seem like Web 2 while still having all those other features and gaining traction at that point.
Oh shit. Not available in my country.
Sucks in the US.
No, yeah, I see predictions going well. Maybe. I feel like I would just ape in a roll bit if they could tell me what the fucking fully diluted is. Total supply. Are they burning somewhere?
Seems like it. It's a weird final number to have. I've just been seeing Rollbit. I haven't been
what? What is
doing anything with it.
Oh, this is 24 hour. Nope, that's a year. Okay. This
just doesn't work.
Yeah, this just doesn't work. Yeah. I could see people just jumping in on that coin, getting some exposure to it.
I was reading a tweet earlier today. About narrative trading like this and how once a narrative is somewhat realized, or at least like in full swing, everybody's looking for hidden gems, like stuff that hasn't quite pumped as much as the big names yet to try and get like those multiples. But oftentimes like the one leader is always going to be like the most plus EV play. So if on-chain prediction markets take off, Rollbit is probably going to be the top play. It's going to continue to run most likely. If AI takes off, I don't even know
just a good
what's
name
the top
too.
AI. Yeah.
When you've seen it work, like it's already worked. Like I'm pretty sure that the most popular one is like in like regular world is like stake.
Leverage.
Stake is like the most popular gambling place, and they use cryptocurrency. So there's some way to like that on and off ramp or however it works already works. So they have an easy route to follow basically. What else do we have? AI, not really doing that. Decentralized identity. You put this somewhere on your list, but you added the
I did.
Not confident.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, this is another one that kind of fits into other narratives.
Are you talking like
this is
7 basically? This is DeSo.
Yeah, this is DeSo. I think there's projects that fall under this which use ZK. I guess that use ZK.
Definitely gonna have
like
to use
Findora, First Batch, something like that. To me, this is a more like implementable use of ZK proofs than like an entire ZK EVM. Like I think this comes before at least in terms of product, this comes before ZK EVMs. Like ZK rollups are
because it's needed more.
Are starting to capture share
for
no, it's just more feasible.
Utilization?
I think it's just more feasible. I think it's needed just as much. But
no, I think I would let's say more needed than the whole ZK EVM.
Yeah. Just because there's nothing else that's filling that role. But ZK EVMs, they have competition there.
Yeah.
You have, I guess, scalability. You have competition there. Whereas for something like ZKYC, like you have a protocol that can like generate like reusable KYC proofs that you can use across different platforms. Like that. So that doesn't need to be super scalable.
Like call data. Charging,
not necessarily.
I feel like that'd be a lot easier than figuring out like a whole token system for decentralizing something like that. They're probably just going to go the easy route and charge for the call data. Probably never release a token.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
No, if you're doing decentralized identity, let's say like you have some technology that allows you to take someone's information and use the whole ZK proving to verify that with other protocols without like being that intermediary there. I'm going to charge all of these other protocols to be able to have that, because once these protocols get that, they get more liquidity, and the liquidity gets utilized way more because they have people's information. It's not going to give that to these
that
protocols
they would be
for
charging
free.
protocol. It's not that they're
Why would they give it
giving
to them for
anything.
free though? Allowing for like, yeah, but if, let's say there's only going to be one person who does it first. It's not like the knowledge is going to drop and everyone's going to be able to implement into their protocol.
But they're not. First of all, if these like what you're talking about essentially is like an attestation protocol,
Just like Chainlink
a
with
ZK attestation
oracles,
protocol.
no?
Chainlink wants to integrate with as many people as they possibly can. They want to get their product out there as much as they can, and it's going to be the same in this case.
Yeah,
If
but
you ever try and build anything with a Chainlink Oracle, you go and talk to anyone with the team, and they will give you everything you goddamn need.
the Chainlink people.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah, because
yes, I guess there could be some scenario where that happens, but
okay, so how do you implement a Chainlink Oracle into your protocol? Do you have to have like Chainlink tokens? Do you have to have? How does that even fucking work?
I don't know.
'Cause I definitely don't know.
I don't think we need to know necessarily.
No,
My
but
point
I
being
mean,
that, like,
Chainlink isn't reaching out to these people for free. They're doing it because it has to give them something.
gets more people using their product. They get more people using their products. They
Yeah, but unless these
get to
people that are
improve
using their product
it-
are holding their token and buying that up,
well,
what
any
other
protocol
than
trying
that
to,
is-
why does BD?
But no,
talking
that's
about
what I'm
like
saying.
BD in general.
yeah, it gets people to use their product, and I feel like there has to be some kind of gain from that, and I think that's a Chainlink token. But right now, they're like the thing has been a stablecoin of $5 because people are finding out that it's quite expensive to incorporate Chainlink or to incorporate their oracles, so they're doing it themselves. But it's not as reliable, and so the tokenomics. In my head, Chainlink makes people buy up their token to be able to have the oracles, right? Let's just say that's how it works. I'm assuming that's how it works. And they had to do like a whole giant tokenomics mapping, and now they're introducing staking and like just a whole bunch of shit. If they just charged by a protocol on a protocol level, doing all of that same BD,
What you're talking about is Web
license
2.
it
You know
out, I
that,
guess?
right? What you're talking about is Web 2. This is literally just sure. It makes more sense from a business perspective, but Chainlink doesn't care. Nobody on the Chainlink team cares about the price of their token at a given moment. If anybody on any founding team or core team gives that much of a shit about their token price, where they want to start charging people to use their product, it's not a project you want to be in this space, especially.
So
They're just
you
building
think
a solid product.
So you think it gets those ZK, that ZK technology that's built out for decentralized identity, meaning like credit ratings and shit like that?
I
That
think
just gets built out and not profited on?
there's a variety of ways to profit on it. You can charge users when they come and generate the proofs. You can charge for API calls or something like that. You can create a token in some way. You can just
I think it's going to be
raise,
API calls.
You can just raise funds. Like the point is that they're going to try and get as many people to come and build on top of it as they can. And not even really build on top of it, just accept their infrastructure, because that's better for everyone involved.
Than making
And that's
money
how
on
most
them.
things work. That's how most things work
Yeah.
in crypto. Everybody's just scrapping together.
Yeah.
If people were doing it the way you were talking about, then this wouldn't
Web2.
be crypto. Yeah.
I don't know why I went down that rabbit hole and didn't realize it was basically just Web 2. But
it
I
makes
just
sense.
feel like
Like, you wanna
everyone
make
is
the
going to
most
get
money.
funding for this. And like, these funds are going to want to make money off of it quite early. But I guess the best way to do that in a longer term is to get as many people to use it as possible, especially if competitors start coming out quickly, which will probably happen. So there's going to be a token, is what you're saying.
I'm saying there's a variety of different ways. There's a variety of different ways for the builders to profit off of stuff like this. They don't think about that stuff. They just think about building, because that's what Web3 is. The beauty of it is you can get incentivized for the amount of value you put in, and that's like a core ethos at every level.
So how far do you
people
think we're out on this?
on the idea
Being able
or
to
like
play
the
the
ZK stuff in
narrative?
specific? I think it's closer,
2 years?
under 2 years, I would say.
18 months.
I think once ZK stuff is usable from a tech perspective, these are the first things we start seeing. Like Findora.
These are probably the
First
things that are
Batch,
building in like a
Gizmo.
what do they call it when they don't talk about what they're building? Stealth.
I'm guessing there's a lot in stealth, yeah, but there's a lot that are out in the open too that are making strides in public. That's actually this is one that like is worth paying attention to. I think this one and on-chain prediction markets I think are overlooked for the next 6 months.
Yeah. What about RWA? We gotta run a little quick
that
here.
One.
No.
I don't.
Yeah, me
I
either.
mean,
I
there's
feel
too
like I
much
have no
legal
knowledge.
and like legal
And then our
regulatory
favorite
shit to
one,
talk about there.
NFTfi.
Finance. NFTfi.
I feel like this is the
slash
first one you
infrastructure.
can make money off of right now.
Yeah,
within
the
6
opportunity's already there.
Yeah, and there's gonna be more and more after this blur drop, dude. I think there's gonna be a lot more.
Dude, this
I think it
OpenSea
proved to
blur
a lot
battle is
of-
bullish as shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It really is, and we should have fucking realized that there was a bad guy in this story that makes Blur look a million times better in any scenario.
Yeah.
But there is
this
still a
one,
chance
I
they
mean-
lose a lot of the liquidity they have. It's still there. But holy fuck, the Dune dashboard looks nuts. I saw someone put it on. It literally looks like the orange is just like eating away the whole fucking chart. Or for the volume. Oh my god, Steppen? That's still...
Do you think OpenSea launches a token?
Never.
Why not?
Never.
Why
I think because they already told all of the people that invested in them that they wouldn't. Like, look at this fucking chart. It's literally eating.
I can't see
It
what
looks-
you're looking at.
Oh, you can't see?
I just see the pod thing still. I guess it's been frozen
Oh.
for a while.
Shit. Okay, let me just send you.
Which one are you looking at? Are you looking at the one that OpenSea tweeted?
I'm looking. They tweeted one? Why would they tweet one of these?
Yeah. It was in their whole thread about.
I'm
that's
looking at the
same
daily
one, yeah.
volume past 3 months, yeah.
By
They
Hill
tweeted
Dog,
about
yeah.
this?
In their whole thread about dropping royalties or fees. This was like tweet number 4. Damn, dude, yeah. Fucking
It literally just
Blur
looks
is
like
killing it.
they're
Dude, even Alpha Sharks has some share, which is just that's solely for airdrop. Actually, no, it's a decent product, but like, it pretty much only took off post Blur airdrop because people wanted to go and try and make money off of it.
damn. They
There
have
was a
more
picture
share than
somewhere.
SudoSwap.
Yeah, SudoSwap.
Alpha
SudoSwap's
Sharks.
dead as fuck.
Yeah, this is a nuts. This is fucking nuts.
You don't think there's any chance they drop a token?
No,
Where is this?
I feel like
picture?
the
There was a
legal.
picture
Like,
somewhere.
I feel like they're in legal handcuffs somewhere. You know what I mean?
It's a token, dude. Everybody drops a token eventually. Where is this? There
Yeah,
is
but OpenSea-
an article somewhere, or a picture with the announcement of them dropping royalties, and it had little like OpenSea logo like coins in the background. Maybe this was made up. I honestly don't know.
They're funding. I wonder if I could see if it was equity. It has to have been equity. Aren't all of their
Yeah, but-
fundings?
I mean, it was definitely equity because there's no token yet, but there's. Oh, I wish I could get my hands on one of those contracts because that. I guess they wouldn't clearly state. There's no way they would clearly state whether they wouldn't clearly state that they wouldn't launch a token, but it would be telling if there was some sort of like convertible component. Like usually the way it goes for products like this is, yeah, we're raising equity. If we launch a token, investors are entitled to this much. But I don't know. Because I think that if they are launching a token, it's not something that was planned. They're launching a token because they're backed into a fucking corner at this point. This is like unprecedented, really.
No,
Anyways,
Okay, this chart for volume last 3 months is scary for them, but the weekly one doesn't look as bad.
dude, wait till the second Blur airdrop. Wait till the Alpha Sharks airdrop. This is just getting started.
Damn, they just took majority on. Oh no, they've held majority for. Holy shit.
Blur has the majority on the weekly in volume and trades. OpenSea has majority in trader count though, which is interesting.
So how does Blur onboard more traders?
What
else do you want to
see
see
from
Blur?
right now?
If
I just
anything
want
at
to
all?
see them continue to do what they've been doing, just disrupt the status quo that OpenSea's had in place, and they're
think
already
they
on
do,
track
like-
to do all of that.
If you could guess, we could glance at their roadmap thing. I feel like it was quite.
It's
overlooked.
It's pretty vague. But in the airdrop claim thing,
They're gonna do fee sharing now.
they mentioned they didn't concretely say that, but they mentioned governance, which I'm sure that's going to go along with that in some way. I like seeing art blocks on here. I have art blocks mentioned here for some reason. Loyalty rewards, that's like already happening. F switch. Oh yeah, F switch.
Yeah.
Right here. Yes, that's what that is. This one, what the fuck does this one mean? Ooh, this is gonna be some type of cross chain, like a wormhole. At least that's what the picture looks like.
Oh shit! If they eat Magic Eden like they did OpenSea on Solana,
Magic Eden. Oh yeah.
they don't have a token, do they?
Actually, because they don't have no.
Oh shit!
And then Arbitrum too. Honestly, I don't know where Solana NFTs are at these days, but Arbitrum NFTs seem to be going pretty well. I do think that it's worth it to try and do shit on OpenSea in the event that they do drop a token.
Oh,
We've already been
really?
using OpenSea
No.
for a long time, but I don't
Either
think it's
way-
out of the question.
I think it
Like
is.
all it would really do is just launch a collection, maybe watch trader a little bit. What's a couple $100 for an airdrop that could be like 5 figures?
You think they would give that much away?
Dude, look at how much Blur gave away. People got millions. People got millions for
Yeah, but
doing
Blur,
what?
Blur had to do that. Blur had to do that.
Did
Yeah. If this airdrop was not successful, volume would have went off the cliff.
Sure. But the thing, OpenSea's scared now. And OpenSea, mind you,
You're buying
OpenSea is
into
a
it.
centralized, profitable business. I don't know how much money OpenSea has been making, but they've been making a lot of fucking money. Like, I totally think they have the ability to launch a token. And also, it's more so, like, what dictates how much an airdrop is worth, really? It's all is their tokenomics, I guess. Like, how much because people are going to value OpenSea at 13 bill or whatever the hell. So let's say they launch a token with 20% going to airdropped user, 20% of 13 bill. That's like what? Almost 3 bill. Almost 3 bill getting distributed across OpenSea. That's a lot of fucking money, dude. Blur.
Dude, I think there's
has
too
been,
many.
What?
I think
What's
there's
the
too
fucking
many.
500 mil.
There's too many legal barriers to doing that for them.
That seems like a cop out answer.
There has to be a reason why they haven't. That's other than because they had no competition. Like, I feel like
Well, they
if you
haven't
were
had to.
OpenSea and you
Why
raised
would-
the Series C, if you raised the Series C, when you raised that Series C, you were mentioning the fact that I'm sure somebody in that room asked about whether or not they were going to launch a token. And they have to have an answer.
Okay, let's take a step back. Why does a protocol launch a token in the first place? In my mind, it's for 2 reasons. It's to incentivize users,
Incentivizing liquidity.
or it's to progressively decentralize. Neither of which has been a need for OpenSea in any way, shape, or form. Now,
Yes.
they have to incentivize in some way. Or at least they're starting to think about it, at least. I guarantee you, I think we can say without a shadow of a doubt, the idea of launching a token or the idea of incentivizing activity in some way on OpenSea is one that's talked about daily at OpenSea right now. Like, they're doing something to incentivize use code. Look, right here, in this last tweet, the 12th tweet thread that they put out about the fee changes, they said, stay tuned for more info as we continue exploring ways to reward our most loyal users. So domino number 1 was dropping OpenSea fee, moving to optional creator earnings, and not blocking
I don't think it's going to be
marketplaces.
as good as Blur. No matter what it is, it's not going to be as good as Blur.
Dude, it's OpenSea. This is a 11 figure valuation company.
Okay, let's do
worth-
the cliche comparison that everyone's doing. Uniswap and SushiSwap.
Okay.
Is Uniswap ever going to turn that fee switch on?
Yeah, eventually.
Are you gonna buy the token now, hoping that they do? How was the Uniswap
No.
airdropping compared to Sushi back then? I have no clue.
Both were big as far as I actually know. Sushi Swap I don't know much about, but Uniswap
Sushi Swap failed
was
now.
one of failed. I wouldn't say failed.
Not failed, but their token is like dog shit. They diluted the fuck out of it, and they had the X
that's a
sushi
different.
shit. But I'm talking
that's a
like
different,
in the immediate, because Sushi came forcing Uni to drop a token. They dropped like a neutered version of a token that's solely just governance, which is powerful and
You're
has
talking
become
about all
powerful.
DeFi tokens right now, though. That's why I think this is like not a fair comparison to compare that battle to what's going on right now. This is more unprecedented. People understand the pitfalls of dropping tokens solely for incentivization. People like builders and users both understand that now, I think. So it's a different game we're dealing with to that extent. Like if people launch a token, it depends on what their goals are, but if it's one of those two things, they can't do what SushiSwap or what Uniswap did or what any of these DeFi farming tokens did. And people know that. I'm saying I would put the odds of OpenSea launching a token within the next 6 months.
You're about to say something crazy.
40%.
Oh, that's not crazy. I was at 30.
Dude, that's plus EV as that's like that's
Dropping
gotta
a
be
token,
such.
whether or not it's gonna be. Let's say they drop a token.
Let's say they drop a token.
Let's say they drop a token, right? Let's envision the valuation of that token. They're a $13 billion valuation right now, right? So they would have to drop. I just don't get what the token would be. Would
Yeah,
it
that's
be
the thing,
part of their company? Would they be taking stake from somewhere else and throwing it there, or would they just be gluing on whatever this token valuation is to? And what did these investors get? I feel like post-investor token drop means that the investors have already gotten tokens. And if there were no investors that already...
No, not necessarily.
So what do they get, though? What do they get for... They're getting the equity, right? And if there's already a token, who is going to buy that equity from them when they can just buy the token?
I don't think they would launch a token without first talking to investors and working out some sort of deal there.
But they're already Series C.
They would absolutely, investors would
It's
be
either
absolutely
public or
furious
nothing.
if they launched without.
It's either they go public or not.
But investors would get something. Investors would get something. It would either be.
Someone would have to buy them out, no? And turn their equity into tokens? I don't even know.
You're overthinking it. They don't have to be related. Like the token doesn't have to and often doesn't represent an actual share of the company. In this case especially, it wouldn't.
What is it then?
It's a way for users. No, they wouldn't do that either.
Okay.
A token
come
doesn't
on, then
need
what
to
would
have
it be?
utility. Okay, not governments,
would they just
first
drop
of
an
all.
NFT collection?
A
of just NFT?
freemium token of some kind. A freemium token of some kind, fee reduction. Potentially, I think this is a long shot, but potentially revenue generation. But fee
So
reduction
Starbucks
is an easy
rewards?
one. Sure, yeah. Starbucks rewards or just revenue sharing from the protocol. There's a lot of different things they could do, but the point is it doesn't
can't
matter.
revenue share. They can't revenue share. That's a security.
Okay,
sure.
Sure.
There's too many U.S. investors that are gonna get fucked by that. No.
My point is none of it matters. As long as it does. Okay, it doesn't even need to do anything. It doesn't. Let's be honest. It doesn't need to do anything. If it's a token that has OpenSea's name on it and it's launching at the height of these market wars,
Uniswap does nothing but
it will
governance,
have
and
a
they're getting
large valuation.
And
how big was the airdrop?
investigated. Yeah, but they're getting investigated. And at what
That's not
point-
our problem. We're just trying to get rich.
Yeah, but that's not a good look for Uniswap. Their fucking CEO can't even use a U.S. bank account. Do you think the OpenSea guys want that, or the people that invested in them want that? I don't think so. I think it causes too many problems for them. I think it's more of a headache than anything. I think at best, everyone gets like a OG user NFT collection airdrop to their fucking wallet, and that trades on secondary, and they can just call it art. At best. There's no way they launch a token.
Yeah, I think that's more likely, but I think a token's feasible. I think a token is feasible.
At best,
I don't think they have to put in. I don't think they have to put in a lot of effort to do it.
Launch a derivatives of checks at best, and you combine them to be like an OG user or some shit like that.
Maybe. I don't know. My point is that there's a lot of money to be made. There will be a lot of
So
money
you're
to be
gonna
made.
start deploying liquidity from Blur into OpenSea for the next 6 months.
No. I'm not gonna change.
Make
I'm
that
not gonna
decision.
change what I've been doing. The one thing that I would be doing probably is launching my own collection on OpenSea and maybe like wash trading it a little bit. Because I think that's gonna,
I can get on that.
If there is an airdrop, that's gonna weight a lot more so than trading.
I can get on that. But that's about it.
Do.
No, as in,
Yeah, it's easy.
I'm not doing more than that for what I don't think is going to happen. You get what I mean? I don't think there's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'm still going to use OpenSea, like for collections that I can't find on Blur that I don't want to.
Yeah, but don't you think it's a good move
trade
for
on Blur
everyone
for that reason.
on, like for, what isn't on Blur? Is Art Blocks on Blur?
No, Art Blocks is a difficult one.
Do you think it's a good move or a bad move for them to get on Blur? In terms of PR.
I don't think it's up to them. I think it's a technical issue, I believe. Yeah, because art blocks, like all art blocks are the same. They have the same like contract address, and the challenge is like differentiate. That's why it's so difficult to run like on-chain analytics for art blocks, just because it's not as simple differentiating between the different collections, all just the one art blocks. So
If
I would
you're
expect
Blur,
that
you're
issue to have
looking for
something to do with that.
a solution for
If
that.
you're Blur, absolutely you should be.
You're
If
accommodating
they're not,
to
if they're
that.
not actively working on that, then they're missing out. Actually, not okay.
think
Some
a
art
solution
blocks
comes?
are on Blur. Yeah, it has to, and it's also not end all. Like I know,
Do you
like
think
friendship
the
bracelets.
Blur
is on,
team
is on,
incentivizes that with tokens or just the technological solutions?
I don't know. It could just be simple business development. I don't know what goes into the issue enough to answer that really.
But do you think some of the incentives that Blur is keeping from their airdrop are going to go towards specific projects?
Say that again.
Like, they have incentives that they kept in their treasury or whatever, and they're planning on releasing them over a period of what? They said like 4 years or something? And
Sure.
there's like a board or whatever of incentive advisors that... Because that's where the governance is very strong, where they're deciding where these incentives are going. And I think that there's going to be some projects that get that incentive.
No, because this is going back to the same thing we were talking about with the DID. Like, it's mutually beneficial for these projects to launch or to have at least be listed on Blur. So it's not a matter of incentivizing anyone to come over. And I think in the case of art blocks, it's a technical issue.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
In other cases, yeah. In other cases,
because OpenSea is already developed.
it depends. Yeah, but like the problem is
But I think for
royalties
something like
also come into
Solana
play.
and Magic Eden, then maybe you would need incentives to pull projects from that ecosystem. Just like the whole degods thing was.
Yeah, I don't know. I would imagine the communities that are still like existing over there are pretty down bad already. So I don't think it would take much incentives.
They're
if they did
psycho.
do
Like, they're psychos. They're crazy. Like, they will go on forever. They're almost like bots. I do like that ecosystem. Like, they are die-hard Solana people. Because I think you might need some incentives to pull projects. The next Solana rotation.
I gotta wrap up here. Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta start to
All
wrap
right.
up here.
That was a good episode.
Past my time.
I like that one.